Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a story time. It's going to be my birth story. You guys have seen my birth vlog. I have it here on my channel, and I just wanted to do a birth story because I feel like there was so much that was missing in my vlog segment that I couldn't capture because they're super strict at the hospital, and with everything going on, the last thing that's in your mind is like, oh, I gotta film this, or where's the camera, blah 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 blah. But I do want to do a story time and kind of let you guys know what went down in the delivery room, the whole getting there, and a few days before, all that stuff that happened, because my delivery was not like your normal typical delivery. I delivered a breech baby, so my daughter came feet first. That's not typical, so it was really hard for me to even have that type of delivery because nobody was going to do it. There's no doctor or anybody that is trained to do a breech delivery. It's very rare to have someone deliver a breech baby, and luckily I was able to do it. Usually if you have a breech baby, you end up getting a C-section, and I obviously did not want that. So I'm actually going to start this story off by the day that I found out my baby was breech, and that was when I was 36 weeks and some days. I was almost 37 weeks, but at 36 weeks is when I found out my baby was breech, and I didn't really think much about it. I was like, you know, my baby is gonna turn. I'm gonna do everything in my power. She's gonna turn. And my mom told me, you don't have to worry about it. The baby will turn. Don't stress about it. And after a few days, I was like, this baby, I have a feeling this baby is just not gonna turn, because everything that I was doing, it was so hard for me to do because I was huge. I mean, for me personally, I felt that was like my heaviest that I had been, and you know, it's hard to do all these moves to get a breech baby to turn, like going upside down, putting an ice pack on you, walking, and you know, doing all these things. And I was doing everything for 2 straight days, and then on the 3rd day I was like, yeah, I don't think this baby is gonna turn. And then I started freaking out because I know that if your baby doesn't turn, then you're gonna have to have a C-section, because there's barely any doctors out there that get training on delivering a breech baby. I told my doctor that I was really nervous, and you know, I don't think my baby is gonna turn on its own, so what are my other options? And she said that, well, you can do an ECV procedure, which basically stands for external cephalic version. So external meaning from the outside, cephalic meaning the head version, so turning the head down. So that's basically what ECV stands for. And she said that I could try to do that, and it's about 50% successful, so I shouldn't get my hopes up, but it's something that can help turn the baby. So I was like, okay, you know, that sounds great, like let's go ahead and do it. I did all my research on what an ECV procedure is, how does it happen, what's the pain level, what is the success rate, and people who have failed, people who had success stories, how can I make it successful. And then it talked about going to a chiropractor. I went to a chiropractor. I ended up even doing acupuncture. I did a prenatal massage, you name it. I did all that stuff prior to my ECV. And when I sat there, obviously I didn't get an epidural or anything like that. It was without an epidural. And my doctor and this other doctor that was helping her, there were 2 people that were helping flip the baby. Dude, I was crying my eyes out. It was so painful that I felt they were tearing my skin literally from one end to another end, just tearing it. And I just couldn't take it. I started crying, and I was like screaming at the doctor, like, get off, it hurts, it hurts. So I told them, like, you know, get off, and they both got off. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna try it again. They gave me a little break, and then they went in again. they went in again, and like the doctor had her leg up on the bed and she was going in. Literally, I was just like screaming. I was like, okay, that's enough. Like, I started bawling. The doctor just looked at me and she was like, yeah, we can't try again. It's not gonna happen and it's too painful for you. And then I just lost it. I started crying hysterically and the doctor just did not know what to do because I was just so emotional. I felt like that was it. There was nothing else left for me to do. Like, that's it. I'm gonna have a C-section. It's not that I have anything against, you know, having a C-section or anything. It was just the whole recovery process, the whole week or 2 weeks of laying in bed, and it's hard for me to hold my baby because of the pain, and breastfeeding was gonna be hard, and breastfeeding was like one of the most important things for me after birth. Is like, I wanted to breastfeed my baby. So I know that with my C-section that it would be hard for me to have that breastfeeding journey that I wanted with my baby. Everything was just over, basically. And that's why I was crying, is because I felt like everything that I tried to have for this pregnancy and for my birth, it just was over. Like, I just couldn't have it. No matter how much I tried, no matter what I tried, it just wasn't gonna happen. And that is just not the birth that I was supposed to have. So yeah, and it was like nothing anyone could say or do could make it better for me. And you know, when you're pregnant, you got all these hormones going on. You're kind of like, you just want to cry, and you cry, boogers, everything. Okay, it was pretty crazy. And my husband was like, obviously he was just like really in shock. And I was also really hungry at the time, because you're supposed to fast when you're doing this procedure, because they go really in on your stomach and they don't want you to throw up. So you're supposed to fast 8 hours prior to this procedure. So I was also really hungry. And then after the nurse and the doctor left, they gave me some food. I ate my food, and then I was like a lot better. And my husband and I were talking about it, and he said, you know, we're gonna still try. We have another ECV scheduled for 38 weeks, and if we want to do it, then we can go ahead and just do another ECV, and if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. Like, this is not how you were supposed to have your baby, head down. You were supposed to like just have a C-section. So I was like, okay, you know, you're right. Like, as long as I have a healthy baby, that's totally fine. So then my doctor comes in and she says, you know, I am really sorry, and I know that you weren't expecting it to go this way. She was just like the best person ever. Like, she's such a sweetheart. Sonia Bodega, she is my gynecologist in Sutter Health. Like, she is amazing. And I don't know, she like helped me so much throughout my pregnancy, especially after I found out that I had a breech baby. You guys, she was always emailing me, always like so prompt, even like calling me and asking me how I'm doing, how am I feeling, am I okay? And I've never had any of my doctors do that. So she's freaking amazing. Like, she just blew me away. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Anyway, she told me that you also have another option if you want to have your baby breech. If you want to deliver your baby breech, there are 2 hospitals that deliver breech babies. One is UCSF and the other one is in Sacramento. So when she told me that, I mean, I already knew that UCSF delivered breech babies in Sacramento because my doula had told me about it, and you know, I really didn't give much thought about it because I thought the ECV was going to work. And so when my doctor mentioned it again, it kind of stuck with me. And so literally the week before I had my baby, I was sitting down in my studio, just, you know, organizing my makeup, and then I just thought to myself, you know, how crazy would it be if I really had this baby breech? And like, my husband was delivered breech because, you know, when my mother-in-law was pregnant in Fiji, she had her baby breech. You know, the doctors over there, they don't have all this high-tech stuff, especially back in the day where they could check the positioning in the head, and where is that, like, they weren't all that rich where they had access to doctors and all of that. So she ended up delivering my husband breech, and he was totally fine, you know. And So I just thought about it. I was like, you know what? Why not? Why shouldn't I try to have this baby breech? I mean, I've tried everything already to have the kind of birth that I wanted, and it failed, right? And that is what I was scared of, trying this and trying to have a breech baby, doing everything in my power to have it, and then failing again, and then being crushed and heartbroken and just like sad, you know? So it was either like not trying and saving myself from all the emotional stress and you know, breakdown and stuff, or I could just suck it up and try it, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and just like leave it all up to God. Like whatever is meant in the books is meant in the books. So I ended up texting my husband. I said, I want to have a breech baby. I want to try it and I want to do it. My biggest fear was my husband saying I'm crazy, and you know, you're trying something else again, like why can't you just deliver at the hospital? Why don't you just like do what you're told? And I just thought my husband was going to be like, you know, you wanted a home birth, it didn't work, and now you want a breech baby. Like what if that doesn't work? We're going to spend all this time, all this energy, and you know, what if it doesn't happen? So that's what I was scared of. I was scared that he would text me that, and then I would kind of get butthurt, because when you're pregnant, you know, any little thing kind of like hurts your feelings and you get all emotional, or at least that is the case for me. So when he told me, yeah, we can try it, I was excited. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do research on it. So I started researching like crazy. I was on my phone like for hours. Even at night I was on my phone. And then I had a meeting with my doula, because we were doing she was basically doing an inversion on me. She has an inversion table, and she puts me on it, puts me upside down, trying to help flip the baby through gravity and stuff. She was also helping me, guys. I was going there every day to go on her version table for her to try to help me flip the baby. So the next day when we went to her house, I mentioned to her like, hey, you know, we're interested in having a breech baby, and you know, what do you think about that? And she's like, oh my god, totally, like I'm so for it. And she gave us a DVD, and we came home, we watched a DVD. It's basically a documentary on how breech delivery is no longer existent, and it's no longer studied, and not studied, but it's no longer being taught to doctors, and basically the skill is being lost. We saw that documentary, and it just opened our eyes at how it's basically the same thing, and having a breech baby and having a baby head down is basically like, there's nothing wrong with that. There is no difference. And yeah, there is like maybe minor differences, but nothing where it's like such a health risk where it affects the baby or anything of that sort. Like you hear someone saying, oh, my baby is breech, so I had to have a C-section. It's like, you don't need to have a C-section for a breech baby. Like there's nothing wrong, unless like, okay, yeah, the baby's head gets stuck, or yeah, the baby's head is stuck or something of that sort. Then they could just literally like cut open your vagina and then the baby will come out. Like that's honestly the only thing they could do. Like there's no need for a C-section or anything of that sort. So at least like that is what showed in the documentary. After we saw that documentary, we were very confident and we were very sure about having a breech delivery. So I reached out to UCSF and I was like, hey, I am pregnant. I'm 37 weeks going on 38, and I want to do a breech delivery. What do I have to do? So they gave me a whole list of things that I had to do. Okay, mind you, I am like scared as heck, because I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and I didn't know if my baby was about to come, because I had my son at 37 weeks and I was like 37 weeks already, and I was like planning on having this breech baby, and I'm going to a hospital. They don't have any of my records, so I had to get all the paperwork. I had to get like everything situated. I ended up setting up an appointment. Obviously it was through FaceTime, and they said that they need to check to see if I was even a good candidate for a breech delivery. Like everything needed to be normal. I shouldn't have any high blood pressure, no diabetes, no nothing. Like everything should be normal when I go into the hospital. So luckily everything was good. Okay, I'm outside, so you guys know I live right by a gas station. They also fix cars, so there's like loud cars coming by. But anyways, the doctor basically screened me and said, okay, you're a good candidate. You have to get an MRI and you have to get like some blood testing done. And then we also want you to come in for the ECV procedure, like your last ECV procedure. We want you to do it here. And if that doesn't work, then we'll like have you deliver the baby here. I told them, okay, let's schedule that, blah, blah, blah. So I scheduled my ECV procedure, and then I was like, if the ECV procedure does not work, then I'll schedule my MRI to do my screening and then get it cleared so I can have a breech delivery as is. Fast forward the day of my ECV procedure, which was like a few days afterwards. I was fasting. They say, okay, well, you have to fast, obviously. So I was fasting. I told my doula, I need you to be there with me because I just feel so much more comfortable and confident with you around. I need your energy. And she was like, of course, Michelle, I'll be with you. And she woke up super early. We had to be there at 7 because we had all this paperwork and stuff to fill out. By the way, while I was on the phone with the doctor, they told me that I can have my doula in the office along with my husband to do the procedure and for delivery and all that stuff. So that made me really happy. And this was at the time when the pandemic, like there was only one person allowed in the room and all this stuff. So at UCSF, they had an exception. Doulas are part of the birth team, so they're not considered like an extra person. So I was really happy about that, and I told my doula like, hey, they said that you can come, you're not like just another person, you're part of the birth team, blah, 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 so you're allowed to come. We go in the day of my appointment. They're like, yeah, your doula can't come, only one person is allowed in that procedure room. My husband went crazy on them. There was like a huge thing, a huge little scene going on in the lobby. It was crazy. I was like getting so stressed out. I was like, dude, I need my blood pressure to stay calm, because if they see my blood pressure elevate, obviously it's going to be like a red flag to them. So, you know, all that stuff, obviously it did make my blood pressure rise and everything. I was very emotional, and then they just didn't let my doula go in. They said, you can just have one person in there. It can be your doula or it can be your husband, and I chose my husband. It's been 2 hours now, okay? So it's been 2 hours. We've been there for 2 hours. They finally get us in. We're sitting in the waiting room and we're waiting for an hour and a half for them to come see us. At that point, I'm like, dude, I'm hungry. I'm starting to get a headache. I'm feeling super weak. Like I need to get this done and over with. Like, what if I don't have enough energy for this procedure and I end up going in labor? The doctor comes out that's supposed to do my ECV procedure, and she says, hey, you know, we had 2 emergency C-sections, and so it's not going to be until like 3 o'clock. Like, we can do it at 3 o'clock. And I was like, oh my God. In my head, I'm thinking it's either like I do this and I have my baby, or like, you know, I don't know what, I did not know what to do. What I ended up doing is I called my doula and I said, hey, they want me to have my ECV procedure at 3 o'clock. And she was like, heck no, you are not gonna wait until 3 o'clock to eat. You're pregnant, you need food, like your baby needs food, you need energy, especially if it was so hard on you the first time. Even though you're having an epidural, your body is going to be under so much stress that you're probably going to have this baby the way you don't want to have it. So do not do the ECV procedure today. Reschedule it. Go and schedule your MRI, because your main goal is to deliver breech. So I said, okay. So I canceled the ECV. I scheduled it for the day after, and then I went and I did my MRI that day instead of that ECV procedure. I got my MRI done, and then literally the next morning, guys, the next morning, I was in labor. I think that the whole trip to UCSF was so stressful on me that the morning after, I just like, I started having my contractions, and at first I thought I was like, I was just cramping, I was just tired, and I did too much. So I was like, I need to put my feet up. I had Claudia helping me around the house, and you know, she was taking care of Armand, and then I was just laying in bed, and she's like, are you okay? I was like, you know, I think I'm having some cramps, but I think I've just been doing too much. So she's like, yeah, you know, just relax, don't do much, and you know, just put your feet up, I'm here if you need anything. I was like, okay. And then the cramps would come and then they would go. So then I texted my doula. I was like, hey, I think I'm cramping. I don't know if it's like the cramps for the baby to come, or if I'm cramping because I'm dehydrated, or if I've been doing too much or whatever, you know, because it's so close. Like, I'm officially 38 weeks now. I was actually 39 weeks. I was like, I could actually have my baby now. That's why I'm kind of like concerned that I'm having cramps at this time, because it could be my baby is coming, and I don't know if that MRI has cleared. So my doula said, you know, download this app and monitor your contractions, see how far apart they are, make sure you're hydrated, and take this tea. It was like a cumin tea that you make, and the cumin is basically supposed to help your contractions progress if they're the real thing, or basically go away if they're not. So that's how you know if your cramps are, you know, the real thing, or they're Braxton Hicks. So I took the tea, the cramps kept coming and going, coming and going. I was monitoring them, and then I started getting scared because they were like coming a lot more frequently. But the thing was, is they weren't painful for me. They weren't like so painful where I couldn't handle it. They just felt like menstrual cramps to me. I just didn't think much of it, and then I was like texting my husband like, oh, you know, I'm having cramps, I might have my baby, and I was just playing around with him, and then he took it super serious. And then my doula said, hey, how far apart are your cramps? And I told her, and she's like, yeah, you might be having your baby. Again, I started getting nervous, and I told Faisal, I was like, dude, I could be having my baby and I don't even know where to go. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to go to Eden Hospital. I don't know if I'm supposed to go to UCSF. I don't know if I'm gonna have a C-section, if I'm gonna have a breech delivery. Like, I need to know where to go. I need to know if I should, like, what to pack. I need to know everything, because I could have this baby today and I don't even know where to go. He was on the phone calling UCSF nonstop, emailing them, calling them, like, I need to speak to this doctor's team. We need her to check out the MRI. We need her to clear it, blah, 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 blah. I was emailing the doctor. I was calling UCSF. I was calling their radiology department. I was calling all the departments in UCSF, trying to get a hold of somebody who could look at this MRI and clear me to have this baby. Eventually, my husband got a reach of the doctor. The doctor ended up calling me and was like, yeah, you're completely clear to have this baby breech, and if you have your baby today, tomorrow, or the day after, you're in luck, because we have 2 doctors that are going to be working all 3 days, and you can deliver your baby breech. I was so happy, guys. I was like, what? Like, I my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, this baby needs to come out right now. So I call up my doula. I was like, dude, they have a doctor, I am clear, like, I need to have this baby ASAP. So she told me, take primrose oil, just take as much of that as possible, and it's about to happen. So I took primrose oil. I kept on taking that cumin tea, and next thing you know, my cramps were coming back to back. I was getting super excited. So my husband ends up calling UCSF and is like, hey, my wife is going into labor, and the doctor told us to come in today. And then they say, hey, we have no room here. All the rooms are taken, so we might not be able to take you in. I was like, oh heck no. Like, oh my god, like one thing after the next. Like, it was crazy. I just couldn't catch a break, right? None of my family knew about me having the baby breech. They thought I was gonna have a C-section, and they thought like I was gonna either do the ECV and then get a C-section. That's all they knew. They didn't know that I was trying to deliver this baby breech, because I didn't want to hear from them like, oh, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that, because obviously people are not well informed on the delivery of a baby being breached. But anyways, so they said, yeah, we don't have any beds available or any rooms available for your wife to have her deliver her baby. My husband's like, okay. So my husband hung up the phone, and it was on speaker, so he couldn't tell me that, you know, yeah, everything is fine, because I heard it. And he's like, you know what, screw that, we're gonna pack all of our bags, we're gonna go to that hospital, and they cannot deny us, like they have to take us. So I'm packing my stuff, and I'm like, you know what, like I don't need to go, I don't need to go. My cramps, yeah, they're there, but they're not even that bad, like I can handle it, blah blah blah. Like I don't even think I'm due yet, like it could, like you never know. I said I'm fine, you know, the pain is not even that bad, I can handle it, I don't even think these are the real cramps. Like I was trying to delay it because I didn't want to go there and then be disappointed. So I was trying to stall, and I really didn't care to stall because I would have rather been at home instead of at the hospital waiting. And just because I feel more comfortable at home. So even though I knew there was going to be a doctor tomorrow and all that, I was like, okay, it's fine. Even if the baby is going to come, I'm okay for the next 2 days. So I was kind of stalling, and then my husband was like, you know what, you need to hurry up because you don't know if this baby is coming today or tomorrow, but as long as we're in the hospital and we have doctors available to us, like that is what's important. So he got my butt in the car, we ended up leaving, and my cramps started to get worse in the car. Every little bump, it was like 10 times worse, every little bump, every little turn. And so eventually we got to the hospital, he dropped me off, he's like, okay, go, I'm gonna go park the car. And obviously we contacted my doula. My doula was already there as well. She found Faisal in the parking lot. So when he dropped me off, he took off to go park the car. 30 seconds after he dropped me off, my water broke, and I was screaming, like my water, like I didn't even have the strength to scream because it's like, it just takes so much energy out of you that I couldn't even scream for help or anything of that sort. Like I would look around and I'd see people with their masks, but they were just like looking away, or, you know, I get it, it's a pandemic, like it's life-threatening, blah blah blah, but dang, help. Like if someone needs help, like help them, because it's like, you don't know, what if that person dies right there, you know? I felt like I was like, I just couldn't believe I couldn't get anybody to look my way and help me. I just felt so helpless, it was crazy. So I was limping over to the lobby. Finally got to the lobby. I was trying to scream to the guy that was in the lobby area, but I guess I wasn't loud enough, and they have all these like windows in front of them because of this whole pandemic and all that. So they had all these windows in front of them, and so finally when I limped my way over, they're like, can I help you, like what's wrong? I was like, I am having a baby right now and I need to go to labor and delivery. They're like, oh, we are so sorry. And then someone came with a wheelchair, and they freaking hit me on my leg because they were like trying to rush me, and I was cramping this entire time, and they're rushing me, like running to labor and delivery, like running. I don't know what it was, but my water was still like, I was still leaking a lot, and I was shivering. They had some other kid running behind us asking me all these like COVID questions, like, oh, are you have you noticed these symptoms in the past 14 days? Have you been like, dude, I am in labor. I mean, at that point, you don't care, you will just want to freaking have your baby, because I felt like that baby was coming out. Eventually I get to labor and delivery, they sign me in, they take me to the triage room where they basically insert their fingers inside and they check to see how much you're dilated. I was about 6 centimeters dilated already, and they were like, okay, she's 6 centimeters dilated, we have to get me in to get my epidural so then I could have my baby. Oh my god, guys, it was crazy. I had to do everything. I was in so much pain. They needed my medical records, and I was like, everything, I sent everything to you guys. They're like, well, it's not updated on your chart, we don't see anything. And so I literally had to go through my phone, I had to go through my email, like in all this pain and, you know, all this chaos around me. It was insane. But I managed to find my medical records. I showed it to them through my phone, and they're like, okay, everything looks good. They ended up giving me my epidural. I was so numb. I did not feel anything. I was a little nervous because when I had the epidural, when I had my son, I was able to feel the contractions. With this, I felt nothing. So I was really scared and nervous, and I was like, what if I don't even know when to push or how to push? What if I, you know, don't know what to do, or if I'm not doing it right and it's too late and then they have to rush me and I just end up getting a C-section anyways. That is all I was thinking about. And my doula was like, Michelle, you need rest, like just chill, just close your eyes. You need the energy to push your baby, like just relax, because you've been doing so much the past few days. You need energy to push your baby. I was like, okay, you know, I was trying to relax, but I couldn't. Okay, I just could not relax. So the doctor would come in and try to check me, and then they're like, we don't even know like how much you're dilated, because they check by touching the baby's head, but they weren't touching the head, they were touching the baby's butt. So they're like, we don't even know how much you're dilated. It just let us know when you start to feel pressure. I don't know how they didn't know how much I was dilated. So many hours passed. They're like, do you feel pressure? Do you feel pressure? I'm like, no, I don't feel any pressure. And they're like, okay, well, the baby is just on station 0. So station 0 is -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And 3 is this like, okay, baby is gonna come. So my baby was not moving past station 0. That made me super nervous. The doctor came in and was like, okay, well, your baby's not moving past like station 0. We're gonna check it out to see if you can push. Like, we'll do a few test runs on the push to see if you know how to push. Once we feel like you know how to push, then we'll take you into the OR room, and then you can push over there and you can have your baby there. The reason why they took me to the OR room to begin with, even though I wasn't having an operation, is because just in case anything goes wrong, we are in the operating room and they are ready to do a C-section right then and there. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, we can do a few test pushes. I'm fine with that. She's like, okay, yeah, and also when we go in the operating room, there's going to be a ton of people there. It's going to be super bright. We want you to stay calm. Everyone, just because you see all those people in there, it doesn't mean anything is wrong. Everything is fine. Everyone in there has a task to do, and it may or may not have anything to do with you. Just ignore them. All you need to focus on is your baby and pushing, and that's all. So she basically told me, we're going into this huge room. It's going to be super bright, and there's going to be all these people there that, you know, may or may not be there for me. So I was like, okay, you know, here I am, numb to the core, and I don't know what is about to happen, but all I need to do is try to push this baby out. So the nurse comes in and it's like, okay, we're gonna do a few test pushes. I'm like, okay. She puts her hand in me and then she's like, okay, push, 1, 2, 3, push. And I push. She's like, oh my gosh. She's like, okay, you know how to push. She's like, take her to the operating room. It was insane. I was in there. Yeah, I saw all the lights. I saw all the people. My blood pressure was rising. The nurse that was there was like, yeah, you know, your blood pressure is quite high, but you know, I think you're just getting nervous because of all these people and everything. Just take a deep breath, listen to my voice. When I tell you to push, that's when you push, because obviously I didn't know when, because I wasn't feeling a thing. Every time the nurse was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, push, I pushed, and it was like, it was crazy. I had my baby in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yep, toot toot. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Yeah, I had my Breech baby and I was literally like numb, and I had my baby in 4.5 minutes. You know, I'm pretty darn proud of that. And she was Breech, and she was 6 pounds 10 ounces. And yeah, so she was a really healthy baby. She cried immediately. She was, you know, she was just perfect. What could I say? She was perfect. After she was born, I had colostrum, so the baby latched beautifully. Like, she literally latched, and I was like shocked. Like, that baby, like, she knew what she was doing already. Everything was perfect. It was like a little fairy tale after that. So yeah, that's basically my birth story, guys. I'm really happy at how everything turned out. I feel like all the chaos, all the craziness, I feel like I would not change a thing, because it just made me so much more stronger. It made me believe in myself so much more, and I feel like I have faith in myself and in the process. You just gotta believe, just gotta let go, and whatever is meant to be, it'll happen the way you would have never imagined in your wildest dreams. If you are pregnant right now, you're going through a hard time, you know, just stick it out. Don't stress, don't worry. I know you probably heard it so many times before, but just let go and trust the process. Follow your heart. Like, if you want it to be a certain way, do the best you can, but don't be so attached to the end result, because you never know what's gonna happen. You just have to wish for the best, and that would be to have a healthy baby and a healthy you at the end of it. I hope you guys enjoyed our little story time chat. If you guys liked this story time, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below how you guys liked it, if you guys want more story time, and what other topics you guys want me to talk about. I would love to share my little life stories and life lessons with you guys. It was fun, and I'll see you guys super soon. Bye.